gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's May 22nd, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again this morning by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And Matt, the news of today is really the news of last night, but it's huge, man. I don't know if people really are wired into this one yet, but this is a big commitment that happened last night. I'm going to celebrate the occasion. I'm going to wear my cane shades here for a little bit because, Matt, even in your world, this is a free agent, man. I mean, this is an absolute free agent. Tyler Barron, the defensive end from Louisville, that has now committed to Miami. I'm just going to pull up my notes here on this guy. I mean, this is a kid. He's played 47 games in college football, okay? But 23 of them were starts in the SEC, okay, at defensive end for Tennessee. And he was a very productive player. I mean, we've been talking the last few days. I was saying, man, Miami needs to get more guys that are going to get drafted. This kid is going to get drafted, okay? He is not going to be, I hope I don't end up eating my words on this, but he is most likely not going to be an undrafted free agent next April. I think that this is a kid that is going to get drafted. Now, this has been going on for weeks. I mean, we've been on Tyler Barron for weeks, and it's been like a seesaw, man. I mean, he was playing this thing to the max, but it was getting to the point where he needed to get into a school. I mean, not because of class is starting and all that, because he's a graduate transfer. He doesn't have to go to class until the fall when he plays. But man, I'm sorry, I gotta take these thoughts. They're annoying. But he didn't have to enroll in school. But he needs to get into training. I mean, he's coming off an injury. There's question as to whether he will be ready for the start of training camp in August. He needs to get in and start working in the weight room and making sure he's healthy for the season so he can go out there this fall and max out his potential and get himself a relatively high NFL draft pick and obviously make even more money than I'm sure he's making in NIL now, coming here to Miami as an 8-month loaner. Matt, I could go on and on about this guy. I mean, and he's got 12 and a half sacks in his career. He's got 26 tackles for loss, over 100 career tackles. He made third team all SEC. The people I talk to out there in the scouting world, they tell me that this kid has first round pass rush ability, but wasn't really used the right way at Tennessee. They asked him to move around quite a bit, play all over the place, and that kind of like stunted his development as an individual a little bit. Here, he is going to be a pass rusher and could be a 10-sack guy. Him and Ruben Bain can both be 10-sack guys for Lance Guidry's defense. But the scouting report goes on and on. He's got great speed to any prototypical defensive end size. Super physical against the run, but when he's allowed to cut it loose on the outside, he's elite pass rusher. He proved that he could beat SEC tackles with his speed and his ability to bend as a big man. Matt, I could go on and on and on. I hope I've sold you, my man. Free agent. Admit it. This one's got you excited.
Look, he's definitely a Miami free agent for sure. I mean, he's a no doubter. Take him at Miami. But I don't like overplaying. Like, you're all the hurrah, the greatest guy in the world. You make him sound like he wasn't even all SEC honorable mention. He had 5 sacks. He did have 41 quarterback pressures, 260 pounds, 6'5". He does have all the prototypical stuff you want. He didn't go pro early because he wasn't going to get drafted, unlike what Gary's saying, that he's got a definite draft pick. He wasn't going to be drafted. You look at his NFL draft bio, and they note his, his strengths obviously would be that he has that NFL type body, but they say that he struggles to shed blockers, doesn't have good lateral movement. There's some, his hands are inconsistent. There are things that he needs to work on, of course, which is why he was at Tennessee, transferred to Louisville. Now he's at Miami. I mean, he's been shuttling around. He's sort of bidding himself to the highest the highest bidder type of thing. Like a lot of stuff that you just don't like personality-wise in a locker room. A lot of red flags personality-wise. But for me, he's a free agent because a free agent at Miami right now, because I don't think Akeem Mesidor is going to be the same player. When he tells you he tore tendons in both feet and has to wear special cleats, like he literally can't play in regular cleats, that tells you a lot. And to me, I think that Mesidor might actually be better off if he's lost his quickness, which is usually what happens with foot injuries, where you have to wear special cleats, which I've never heard of before. That probably means to me that he's going to be better off as a defensive tackle in the rotation versus trying to get after the quarterback and have that quick burst. Like that's just not going to be there. So you had to get a
pass rush situations now. If Mesidor's healthy, you can put him inside and have Tyler Barron on the outside with Ruben Bain. And eventually you might put Ruben Bain inside too.
What I'm trying to say is, to me,
I mean, to interrupt you, I'm just excited.
Yeah, of course. I'd be excited. I mean, why not? He's a senior. Like this is the kind of free agent you want, or transfer portal you want. You don't want a guy who's a sophomore who's going to be here forever, who's just a guy. Like this is a perfect addition. This is a total free agent. 1 year. Had good production, position of need. At Miami, he's 100% a free agent, 100%. And again, that's because I think Mesidor winds up a defensive tackle in pass rushing situations, and I'm not sure he's able to play much more than that, quite honestly, if you want to keep him healthy all year. So now you have a guy, and you had no other defensive end. Elijah Alston is not setting the edge for you. Elijah Alston is a pure pass rusher. Tyler Barron,
that's what I was getting at, Matt. That's what I was getting at. See, now with Alston also in place, you could even at times put Mesidor and Bain inside and use Barron and Alston on the outside. Like Miami's pass rush should be pretty damn good this year if they can keep all these guys healthy.
So Tyler Barron is a guy that can set the edge, can get after the quarterback. He's an all-purpose defensive end. He's an every down defensive end, okay? Ruben Bain does not want to play tackle, and they want to keep him happy, so he doesn't leave, and so he plays hard and whatever else you want. I don't know why a guy refuses to play tackle. So you can say, just put Ruben Bain at tackle. He doesn't want to play tackle. So I keep Ruben Bain at end. I mean, he's a fantastic end. Like, why not? Who cares? And now you have a guy like Alston who can spell them in pass rushing situations, give them a break. You now have 3 other defensive tackle transfers that can work in a rotation inside with Mesidor as a 4th. And like, that's really a outstanding to me defensive line. I think it might be one of the best lines in the ACC, especially if Mesidor is able to be effective at defensive tackle. At this point, look, let's face it, okay? Tyler Barron's not coming to Miami to be in the 2 deep. He's coming to start, and I have no doubt that he was told he will start, and I have no doubt that Mesidor will be a backup if he's going to be an end, and that's not great news for Miami. Like if I told you, Gary, that Mesidor is just not going to be effective and they're replacing with Barron, you'd probably be like, okay, well, that's somewhat of an even trade. I think some people think Barron's better than Mesidor. I would argue that Mesidor in 2022, if he stayed healthy with another year under his belt and was 100%, like he's as good as anyone in the ACC. I mean, he was outstanding.
Yeah, but the thing about it this way, though, Mesidor has 2 years of eligibility, correct? I'm right about that.
Mesidor's a redshirt junior.
Yeah, so he has 2 years left. Okay, this is great for Mesidor, who hasn't been able to stay healthy. Now he doesn't have to be an every down guy this season. He's got Tyler Barron there to platoon with and or in some cases play at the same time in pass rush situations and stuff. But Mesidor could be managed a little bit better as he regains his health. And then next year, Mesidor potentially could be the every down guy if he, gets back to that point. But yeah, Matt, there's a lot of question marks around Akeem Mesidor, and Miami just solved those in advance by picking up Tyler Barron.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say. I mean, look, they needed Barron. They needed a guy like Barron, and it's great that he's at Miami. It makes the defensive line that much better. The only real concern I have on defense at this point is in the secondary. I think the defensive line is really, really going to be good. Adding Barrow and Alston and all these other defensive linemen, along with Barron, Alston, and who else am I? Barron, Barrow, Alston. I don't, Cook is like whatever. He'll be a depth guy. But you got C.J. Clark inside. I mean, you basically have a defensive line of transfers, which on the surface, maybe isn't great. If you look at it as, these guys are cast-offs. These guys have to play right away. These guys are going to be selfish because, let's face it, if you're a transfer with 1 year left, you have to be selfish. Like, I understand that all the fans are like, oh, it's a team sport. They can't be selfish. Any transfer portal guy who lands at your team as a senior is going to be selfish. He's going to want to be the guy. He doesn't want to share reps. Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, that's just human nature. That's taking care of your family. That's fine. That's okay to say. Okay, the player's not going to say it. Coach isn't going to say it. But at the same time, you've got to have a locker room that works. And aside from the secondary, my other concern is just the locker room, because you have guys now making high six figures, mid six figures in a locker room with other guys who aren't making much money. You have guys who want every rep, right? To put up big numbers, to put up production, to get all whatever honors, to get into the NFL, to make money next year. And they don't want other guys coming in and taking their reps away. They get pissed. So I don't know if that could become a good thing, if Mario can turn that on his head and make it a competition thing in practice, or if this guy's going to be pissed all the time. Because if this is an unhappy team, you will know it. You will know it in game one. Guy, you can tell from body language. I'm not a body language expert, other than the fact that I always look morose. You can look that word up. You can look that word up, Gary. That's the only body language I know, because I am
not the word I would use, but
no, I'm always morose. Look, even you're so bubbly about him. Like, this is me being excited about a guy they added, and I'm just like,
I'm fired up now. I mean, it's game on at Miami this year.
What I'm trying to say is your body language expresses how excited you are. Mine will never express excitement. Mine always expresses self-doubt, deterioration of my physical being, hair loss, drooping eyebrows, sagging body parts. That's just me. So I'm never going to look excited, but I'm telling you right now, this guy's definitely a free agent at Miami right now, 100%, which puts them, to me, above 50% hit rate for this class, which is a hell of a lot better than the 25% I had him with last year. So everything's trending in the right way. But me always being worried about things, I'm worried about the secondary, and I'm worried about now the team coming together as a unit, because you have so many of these really important portal pieces on defense, especially. Like, offense, I'm not worried about. The offense is going to be just fine. But on defense, you just don't know how it's all going to mesh together, And Tyler Barron can't even practice apparently until like maybe the first week of fall drills. I don't have specifics on the injury, but
if he makes it back by then, it'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not great either. You don't want a banged up team early on in fall drills. You just don't. But we're going to see how it all comes together. It's going to be an exciting season regardless, because the schedule's easy. They should win a lot of games no matter how bad they are. And they have spent the money appropriately in the transfer portal, finally, to get the pieces that they really need, other than maybe 5 or 6 guys that I don't think they needed. But those 6 or 7 they added, they desperately needed to fill those holes, and they've got the right guys. So, there's no excuses. I think someone even posted this. There's no excuses left for Mario. Like, if Mario doesn't win 10 or more games this year, and that's why I told you it's must win. I keep telling you it's must win. You're like, no, it's not. It doesn't matter.
No, I agree with you now.
Oh, now all of a sudden, you never
look at the job he's done building the roster. He and his staff.
We had this conversation a month ago. And you said it's not must win this year for Mario. You totally disagreed with me. So
no,
anyway, there's no excuses left. If Mario doesn't win 10 games, it's a freaking disaster. Okay, there's no reason to not win 10 games.
It is, because let's not kid ourselves. The collective is stepping up big time, and they're making Miami as competitive as anybody in the country. In the NIL world, and it's allowing this roster to get to the place where it is now. Well, they want to win. Okay, the people that are funding the collective, they want to win. They're not just doing this. I mean, yeah, they're doing it for the goodness of their hearts. I mean, they are, but like their ROI, their return on investment, is going to be getting into the college football playoff this year. And I agree with you, Matt. They got to get there. Like this is too solid of a commitment, investment, whatever you want to call it, to fail. Like they can't fail. This has got they got to be iron tight this year. The coaches got to be on their stuff, and they have the perfect schedule for success. They got a quarterback now. You got a running back. You got a bunch of receivers. You got tight ends. You got a great O-line. Now your defensive lines. I mean, there might be a couple better ones in the SEC or something. I haven't really studied that. That might be a next project. Next time we send you in the lab, Matt, does anybody have a better defensive line room than Miami now? But I mean, like, yeah, it's a little rough at linebacker still, no argument. Unless Alderman turns out to be really, really good. And DB is a question mark. We're going to talk about that in a second, though. But man, like your kicker and punter are good. Like this is a complete football team now, as complete as anybody in the country. Like I don't care. Talk to me about Alabama. Talk to me about Michigan. You know, we'll talk all day. But like this is a complete football team now, and it's happened very, very quickly, right before our eyes. What's this now? 41 new roster additions since the end of last year. Like, oh my freaking God. Like it's insane what's going on here. I mean, Mario must just be totally exhausted at this point. I got to believe after all this recruiting. It's a lot of work, man. But yeah, there's no excuses. No excuses. They have depth. So you can't, yeah, of course it would be horrible if you lose, one of your top players, but they've got depth. At most positions now. So very, very, very excited. Matt, the only thing that I'm still really, really, really worried about, quite frankly, is your wardrobe, because like every damn time we go to tape this show, you've got that damn alligator shirt on that you keep trying to tell us is a crocodile or whatever. Yeah, sure, whatever. Do you own any other shirt, any other piece of clothing than this T-shirt that you are making us look at every single Good Morning CaneSport show?
I've already addressed this. Lacoste is the only company with the blend of polyester to cotton ratio where it doesn't wrinkle when you wash it and dry it, and it doesn't bother my skin. 100% polyester. I have eczema. All right, you want to get HIPAA on me? I have eczema. My skin itches if I wear all polyester. If I wear all cotton, 100% cotton, it's all wrinkly. I don't freaking know how to iron. My wife's not ironing for me. My kid's home for the summer. He's not going to iron for me. I'm not hanging it up like on some board and trying to go like this with it. All right. I don't even know how you do that. So that's not happening. That's why I wear the same shirt over and over and over again in different colors. All right.
If you could just please respect the fact that we play the Gators in a couple months and just like maybe just hide it in the corner of the closet, at least until then. I think we all would like greatly appreciate it, to be honest with you. But getting back to football here. And by the way, if you're on YouTube right now and you like this show and you like our channel, please hit your subscribe and like buttons. It helps us with the algorithms at YouTube in growing our audience. And if you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please come become a member of our website. We have a great fan community. We all talk Canes football every minute of every day, year round. And our staff is constantly working also around the clock to do everything that we can do to enhance your fan experience with great articles and insight. Please come become a member of CaneSport.com if you are not yet subscribed to our website. But Matt, getting back to talking about what's on the website for today, we address this issue of the defensive backfield, and you just mentioned it's the one area that you really just don't really know about, and there's no question that it's a questionable spot on the roster. But you make an argument this morning that I thought was amazing, quite frankly. I mean, I don't want to blow your head up too big here, but this was actually an amazing piece of work, because you went and you took a look at every quarterback that Miami's going to play this year, and you came up with the deduction, I guess I'll call it, that there's not a lot of guys that they're going to face this year that are elite passers or elite passing games, and for that reason, if nothing else, that defensive backfield might not have as rough a time this year as some people want to think it will have, and could end up being pretty decent. Talk a little bit about the process you went through, and just how you came to the conclusion that it might not be as bad as people think.
The process I went through. What am I transitioning to another pronoun? I mean, it wasn't a process.
Different terms. Tell us about your work on this story a little bit.
No process involved. Okay. Basically, what my assignment was now that Tyler Barron is a Miami Hurricane, is there anything he can't do? And maybe the only thing he can't do is play defensive back. Although, he's getting the quarterback so quick, what does it matter? Like, why do we even have stories on CaneSport anymore about the football team? Now that Tyler Barron's at Miami, everything's solved. There's nothing else to talk about, according to Gary Ferman. But, as it pertains to the defensive backs, you can just talk about personnel, but everyone already knows the personnel question marks. I mean, Darryl Porter is your returning starter. He had 0 interceptions and I think 2 pass breakups. Okay. Damari Brown started the last 4 games. He ended the year with 0 interceptions, 0 pass breakups. Those are the only 2 guys that are back that started games. You had a guy from Marshall, Deani Hill, who was okay at Marshall, nothing exceptional. He started there. I don't know if that means he can start at Miami. I don't think so, but he's here. You got Jadaeus Richard, who came from Vanderbilt. That amazing Vanderbilt program just keeps producing DBs, man. So Jadaeus sat on the bench last year as a Vanderbilt transfer is due, and this year he'll probably be sitting on the bench again, unless maybe he can somehow find his way onto a very weak depth chart because maybe you have to move Brown to nickel because Mish Powell has to move from nickel to safety because the safeties suck, okay? It's a bad situation at the secondary for Miami. So there's no need for me to talk about that. I'm already negative enough as it is. I figured, why can't I be negative enough about everybody else that they play? So that was my process, okay? So I looked at every single opponent. I looked at where they, not that it matters that much, but I looked at where they ranked in terms of passing yards last year, since that's what you get against defensive backs, right? Passing yards, where they ranked. It turns out not a single one of Miami's opponents this year ranked in the top 30 passing. And that was USF and Florida A&M, who, USF, I know Gary's scared of USF, but like USF played 2 Power 4 teams last year and they sucked against both of them. I think their quarterback who's back, who returns, I think he threw no touchdowns and 3 interceptions combined in those 2 games, okay? One was Alabama and the other was maybe Connecticut, maybe? I don't know. Power 5 teams, whatever. I don't know what the hell Connecticut is, but those 2 teams. Other than that, they're playing like, Ball State and whoever, I don't know, a bunch of just whatevers. So outside of FAMU and USF, the next highest rated passing offense in terms of yards last year was number 45 out of 122 teams in the country. That's the best one they're going to face, was 45, okay? The other rankings of the offenses Miami plays this year, passing yards wise, 56, 66, 71, 77, 95, 98, 110, 114, and 125. And there's only 120 teams. No, 125 out of, I guess, whatever, 128. So Miami's playing some really, really bad passing offenses if it was 2023, but it's 2024. So we also take a look at, okay, here's who the quarterbacks are at every single team they're playing. Here's what those quarterbacks have been doing. Here's where they're coming from. Are they returning? What were their stats last year or 2 years ago? Whatever. Are their top receivers back, et cetera, et cetera? And, Miami sort of lucked out because they're not playing Clemson, and obviously, Clemson, Cade Klubnik could have a big year. NC State, they're not playing against that Concepcion kid who killed them last year. SMU is supposed to have arguably the conference's best quarterback, believe it or not. So Miami's not facing him, right? The Stone kid. So, and it just seems to have all, North Carolina might have a good offense with Max Johnson or whoever they wind up starting. Like, it just all worked out. If you're going to, and maybe Mario knows this, maybe he's like, maybe that's why he didn't really get a safety or really top cornerback in the portal, because he wants to spend his money elsewhere on defensive lineman and linebacker and offensive guys, because he's like, these teams suck at passing the ball. We don't need anyone in the secondary. Maybe that's how smart Mario is. Maybe we're all underestimating him and like freaking out over the secondary when he knows these other teams suck at throwing the ball. We don't need anybody back there. We'll put Tyler Barron at defensive end and defensive back. We don't even need a secondary against these terrible teams we're playing. So anyway, that was my process for doing the story.
Yeah, but make sure you guys check out that story on the website today. Matt really did a phenomenal job with it, and it's interesting to see how hard of a time people have. We take for granted we just picked up Cam Ward, who a lot of people think is the one of the top quarterbacks of the country this year, obviously. But most of these teams in the ACC and around the country, they struggle to find a quarterback. I mean, Tyler Van Dyke could have had a rougher time the second half of last year, and Wisconsin picked him up. He's probably going to start for Wisconsin this year.
I wouldn't be so sure about that, by the way. But
no, yeah, I know. He's in a knockdown, drag-out competition there, and it's not a given necessarily. But I think they brought him in with the idea that he would be the starter. I mean, people just don't have quarterbacks, and
they're starting quarterback returns at Wisconsin specifically, but it wasn't very good last year.
No, but I mean, they took that
kid as a transfer last year, so they just they're transfer quarterback you right now over at Wisconsin.
Yeah, but yeah, so but anyway, so yeah, teams just don't have the easiest time finding quarterbacks. And when you read that story on the website today, you will see what we're talking about. And a lot of these teams Miami's playing are really struggling in the passing game. And like we said, the fact that Miami is not as good at defensive back as it might want to be may not be as big a problem as you would think this season. And if that's in a good spot, it's going to bode well for the entire year, in my opinion. I'm, as you can tell, I'm pretty amped up about what I'm seeing right now in terms of the talent acquisition side of the program. I think they're doing a great job this offseason. They've struggled a little bit the last couple of years, haven't hit on as many guys as you would like. This year they've really raised their game, and they're going for it. And the collective is doing a great job supporting the program. And it's a good time for Miami. It looks like the Canes should be able to make a move this year. At least we hope so. All right. But none of this means that there's not still a lot of traditional recruiting going on. So we've got the usual assortment of stories there. Got an article today on Pensacola Pine Forest 3-star athlete Zion Legree. He had a handful of offers from a lot of Power 5 programs, and Miami recently pulled the trigger. So we've got a story with him talking about what he's thinking about the Canes. We got a story on a local 4-star 2025 cornerback, Ben Hanks Jr. from Booker T, Washington. Miami's been recruiting him real hard. Lance Guidry and Chevis Jackson were at Booker T earlier this week. We spoke to Hanks, and we've got a story updating you on where he stands in his Miami recruitment, as well as the story of Pensacola Escambia 4-star safety Ladarian Clardy, who Miami's been recruiting. We update you on him as well. A couple other notes. We've got an analysis today on new basketball transfer portal forward Kyrie Huey and just what Miami is getting in him. You got out on the website. And the Canes baseball team won its first game at the ACC tournament over Louisville by an 8-5 margin. And we've got a story on everything that happened in that game as well. But the news of the day today is unquestionably the excitement of landing Tyler Barron, a late addition in the transfer portal. This is called roster fortification on steroids. Get fired up, Canes fans. If they can get this kid healthy by September, actually by August 31st, hopefully, it's going to make that Miami defense much, much better. So that's going to do it for Good Morning CaneSport this morning. We thank you so much for starting out your day with us. Remember, hit those subscribe and like buttons on YouTube. Remember, come become a subscriber at CaneSport.com, because your subscriptions allow our entire team to do what we do every single day. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thanks again, everybody, and we will see you next time.